had quite a few burns and things from ash pits. It's been a real issue on all three of the fires that have been burning in the area. Here on the Deshka Landing fire, we have used measures. We've done some probing. We've actually brought in a thermal imaging camera to help us identify some of those. And lastly, we've picked some areas that have been bad enough that we just stayed away from them and didn't put extensive mop up in them and just tried to secure them the best we could and monitor them.
So with the ash pits, we just kind of see, it looks like kind of scorched ground where all the vegetation's burned off, and then you don't really see it like looking any different, but it just kind of collapses under your feet, and you'll have about a foot of just white ash. So we were working on kind of an area where it's a little sporadic, but there's like this really big ash pit, and it started getting deeper as we got farther away from the line. And there's this one part where it's maybe a foot and a half deep of white ash, and it was actually fine to walk on. We were like walking on it all day, but you just take a step and it just kind of jets up your leg. So it's when I took a step too heavy that I got burned a little bit. And you forget that it's really hot because you're just wearing your boots and your Nomex and you're covered in ash, but you don't really feel it.
Well, this is an infrared camera. You point this end at the ground or whatever you're checking to see if it's hot or not. This part here gives you a scan readout. It's kind of like a black and white image, but it's infrared, so it'll be white if it's hot and black if it's really cold.
Some of this ground, it likes to burn really deep because of the peat, and then the ash covers that. We can spray water on it, but there's a mud cap that goes on top of it. So some of this stuff is difficult to see if there's heat underneath it, and this allows us to look at if it's showing heat through the IR, and we can identify that rather than having to feel everything. If we can prevent having to walk through everything and use the camera, it's a little bit simpler.
Yeah, these can definitely be used to identify ash pits. And ash pits, they look even on the top, but they're really deep, and you can fall into them, up to your knee or up to your waist, and get a pretty good burn from them, even though it's not something that's flaming.